Okay, so in 7th and 8th grade, we have what is called a paper sculpture unit. And for this unit, we're going to be creating a paper lantern. So this is what your sketchbook looks like. And we're just going to kind of walk through that today and do a little introduction to paper sculpture and paper lanterns. And we'll discuss what we're going to be doing for this unit. So there's no due date right now for the sketchbook because remember, this school year, we're just turning in sketchbook pages every week. All right, so sketchbook page 2, we're going to go ahead and fill out first. So for this project, we're going to be creating a star paper lantern. And we're going to be discussing what is called radial balance. Radial balance is any type of balance based on a circle with its design extending from the center. So for example, a star would be an example of radial balance because coming out from the center, it's the same all the way around, or a flower. Then we're also going to talk about paper sculpture. Paper sculpture is an artwork that is created by combining or shaping different types of paper. For an example, origami is the art of paper folding, and it is a paper sculpture form. So in your sketchbook on page 2, you need to write both of these definitions and be ready to turn them in at the end of the week. Okay, so let's talk about paper lanterns. What is a paper lantern? Well, a paper lantern is a lantern made of thin, brightly colored paper. Typically, this paper is not paper that you can just pick up anywhere. It's a special paper created just for paper lanterns. They come in various shapes and sizes, as well as various methods of construction, meaning they're built different ways depending upon the type of lantern that's being created or where in the world that they are created. In its simplest form, they are just a paper bag with a candle placed inside, although more complicated lanterns consist of some bamboo or a metal frame that help keep them together. In Asian culture, the earliest data shows that creating a paper lantern started in China somewhere around 230 BC. So there was an emperor and he had a dream, and this kind of came about from the dream in a way to kind of represent Buddha's power. And so today there are paper lanterns associated with festivals all over the Asian culture. And one of them is the Lantern Festival in China, which is celebrated on the 15th day of the first month of the lunar year. And people bring many paper lanterns in order to honor the first full moon of the year. Children go with paper lanterns to temples and solve riddles on the lamps. And this is the last ritual in celebrating the Chinese New Year. So we're going to kind of look at this video really quickly of this lantern festival in China.
The 15th day of the first month in the Chinese lunar calendar is Yuan Xiaojie, known in English as the Lantern Festival. In Chinese, Yuan refers to the first month, and Xiao is an old word for night. Thus, the name can roughly be translated as night of the first month. This is also the 15th and final day of Chunjie. This festival dates back to the Han Chao and has many legends regarding its origins, as do most Chinese holidays. In ancient times, children would carry paper lanterns to temples and try to solve the Deng Mi. These days, parks all over China set up elaborate lanterns in the run-up to the festival. Here are some highlights from the Lantern Festival at the Da Guan Lou Gongyuan, located in the city of Kunming. This being Yunnan, some of the displays are dedicated to the Shaoshu Minzu, the ethnic minorities who call this province home. It seems like a dream world with all of the colors and elaborate lanterns. Walk through this star path and get to the lake, where there's a lot more to see. Check out these cool ducks. Or Kunming's most famous birds, the Hai-O. Some lanterns are cheesy advertisements. Some are quite elaborate, and some have Chinese idioms, such as Lian Nian You Yu, which sounds the same as have extra every year. It really is a beautiful sight, and it's a great way to spend an evening. Keep walking, and you may find some cartoon characters. Xiao Niao, Disney, and Xianyang. You may even see one dedicated to a famous song. Of course, it wouldn't be China without a lantern for the Xiongmao. From there, things start to get a bit trippy. Are we in China or at a fish concert? I mean, look, this is the tent near the snack stands, complete with a breathing flower inside. Lunar calendar is.
Okay, so now we're going to kind of talk about some other types of lanterns. Sky lanterns were an experiment done by the Chinese with small hot air balloons for signals. They were actually used in the military to send messages to each other. But as you know, now they're used for a lot of different purposes, not just the military. In India, to represent the Star of Bethlehem during the Christmas season, or as part of celebrations, sky lanterns are released into the night sky with hopes for the new year. In Brazil, sky lanterns are used as a way to feature the winter holidays at the end of June. And in Taiwan, they hold an annual lantern festival where sky lanterns are released into the sky, where people write wishes on them or to send messages to God. So lanterns are used for all different special occasions. We're going to watch another lantern festival video right here that's going to show you a different way that lanterns are used. So you can kind of see a different way that lanterns are used to celebrate in Thailand. So in the Western culture, placing candles or tea lights in small paper bags, or we also call these luminaries, are common traditions in the Hispanic culture during Christmas. In Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, or other German-speaking or Dutch-speaking countries, there is a parade where children use paper lanterns that are traditionally handmade, as you can see in this picture. So we're going to create our own paper lantern. It's going to be a 6-pointed star. Here is an example from one of my students, and you're gonna get to create your own design. So, but you can see each point has the same design. And the reason that we're doing this is because otherwise this project would last forever, all right? So you're gonna design one point, and then we're gonna copy it, and then you're gonna paint it. And we're also gonna have sections that you have to cut out. If you can look at this example, the T and the SEC and these little stripes are cut out, and it's actually tissue paper glued behind them, because that way, if you were to go buy a lantern light and put it inside, the light would glue through those places, okay? Here's another example. And the person cut out these stars. Here's some more examples. Okay, so you're going to design your own lantern. This is one of my really old classrooms, okay? Here are some of my other students. This picture, these students are now in their 20s, so this picture is pretty old. Okay, here's another example a student did, where they did like a color wheel. So you have a template that looks like this, all right? This is a template for one point of your lantern, okay? If you notice, there's a dotted line that goes down the center of the page. This is where the point will bend. So this half right here will be one side of the star, and this half will be the other side. Here's what I mean by that. If you were to draw a smiley face in the middle of this, right here on the center dotted line, then half of it would show up on the front and half of it would show up on the back, which is not what you want. So you kind of want to think about your design in two parts, right? So you want to think about this half and this half. So you could do something that's the same theme. So say you're doing bullpups, and you do like a bullpup head on this side, and you write like MMS on this side and paw prints, okay? Or you could have two different themes and have one theme on one side and one theme on the other side, which a lot of people do. So a lot of people do like daytime theme over here, nighttime theme over here. When you are drawing your design, you have to think about a couple of things. One, you have to think about what you want your design to be, and two, you have to think about what areas you're going to cut out. So we're going to be using a X-Acto knife to cut out our designs, but you want to keep the things that you're cutting out inside the dotted lines, meaning if you're drawing a horse, you don't want the horse's body to be along the dotted line, because the dotted lines are where you're going to need to fold them eventually. So you want to keep the things that you cut out inside these dotted lines, all right? So this, and the last thing I want to mention, this little section right here, this little one where my mouse is, and these two little sections up here are not going to show. They are actually tabs that help glue your lantern together. So don't draw anything important right there, okay? Stick it to these main 4 triangles right there, all right? Okay, so like I said, this side, this middle line's where you're gonna fold it to divide it into 2. So today, you are going to do a little work in your sketchbook, and I'm going to talk to you about that right now. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do today is I want you to go to page 3 of your sketchbook, and you're going to do some brainstorming. So I want to show you page 3. Okay, so I put an example template on here, and it says, brainstorming practice. Sketch out radial designs on the stars below. There is 1 on this page and 2 on the next. You must complete all 3. Here's why we brainstorm. Because sometimes you come up with an idea and then you end up liking your second or third idea more. So you're just going to use pencil and you're going to draw ideas on this one and the next 2 to kind of see what maybe you want to do for your design. So this one and these 2, and you have to do all 3. You do not have to use color, you just need to use pencil and kind of get ideas for what you're going to do for your project. So that's the next step. So we already did page 2, then you're going to do page 3, and then the last thing you're going to do today is we're going to do page 1. All right? So we're just going to do a fun radial design for practice, just to get our brains thinking about some radial designs. So these are what some completed ones look like. We're going to follow the directions on the next 2 pages, and we're going to complete this. Okay, so here are the directions for each one, for each step. Here's your template that you're going to use, and then you're going to glue your final one on page A. So if you follow the directions, it will walk you through it. You have the rest of class today to work on this. And then tomorrow, what you need to do in class is you need to finish this, and then you need to start working on your final design. So you have that, and I sent home a paper with your final design looking like that. I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint, but you're gonna go ahead and start drawing your final design on your final paper that looks like this, okay? So that is what you are going to do today and tomorrow, and just let me know if you have any questions.